The freight container weighed 300 kilograms according to the label. Ruby Hayes gripped the handles on both sides and lifted it onto her shoulder like it was a bag of groceries. Around her, the cargo bay of Orbital Station Meridian buzzed with activity as dozens of species moved shipments through the processing area. A small crowd of workers had stopped to watch her. They always did. Ruby had been on the station for 2 weeks now, and the staring hadn't gotten any less awkward. She walked the container over to Zone 7 and set it down with the gentlest thud she could manage. The metal floor still rang out like a bell. "Show off," Brent called from across the bay. He was the other human freight handler, older than Ruby by about 15 years, with gray in his beard and laugh lines around his eyes. Ruby grinned. "Just doing my job." "Yeah, well, maybe do it a little less impressively. You're making the locals nervous." She glanced around. Sure enough, several aliens had taken a few steps back. A tall, insect-like creature with 4 arms was watching her with all 3 of its compound eyes. 2 small furry beings whispered to each other behind a stack of crates. Ruby sighed and grabbed her data pad to scan the next container. This was her life now. Earth had finally joined the galactic community 3 years ago, and humans were still the new kids on the block. Except they weren't just new. They were weird. Earth was classified as a Class 9 Deathworld. Ruby had looked up what that meant her first day on the station. Basically, her home planet was considered one of the most hostile environments in known space. High gravity, extreme weather, violent tectonic activity, predators everywhere. Most species couldn't survive a single day on Earth's surface without serious protective equipment. But humans? They were born there, raised there. They played sports on that deadly rock. They went swimming in oceans full of creatures that could swallow them whole. They hiked up mountains where the air was so thin that other species would pass out. The galactic community didn't know what to make of that. Some thought humans were fascinating. Others thought they were dangerous. A few thought they were both. "Ruby," Nina's voice crackled over the bay's intercom system. "Your shift ends in 10 minutes. You come into the cantina." Ruby pressed the reply button. "Yeah, I'll be there soon." Nina was an avian, one of the bird-like species from the outer colonies. She worked as a bartender in the station's main cantina and had been the first alien to actually talk to Ruby like a normal person instead of a curiosity. They become friends quickly. Ruby finished logging the last few containers and headed to the locker room. She stripped off her work gloves and the heavy vest that all freight handlers wore. In the mirror, she looked at herself. Average height for a human woman. Brown hair pulled back in a ponytail. Nothing special. But here, on this station, she was something everyone talked about. The Deathworlder. She washed her face and hands, changed into clean clothes, and made her way through the station's corridors toward the cantina. The hallways were wide and tall, built to accommodate species of all sizes. Ruby passed a group of Quillen students, small rabbit-like beings with big ears and bigger eyes. They scattered when they saw her coming. "I'm not going to hurt you," Ruby muttered, but they were already gone. The cantina occupied a large circular space near the station's center. Its domed ceiling showed a view of the stars outside, and tables of various heights and configurations filled the floor. Ruby spotted Nina behind the bar and headed over. "Rough day?" Nina asked, already pouring Ruby's usual drink. It was some kind of fruit juice from Nina's homeworld, sweet and cold. "Same as always. Lift things. Watch people stare. Repeat." Nina's feathers ruffled, which Ruby had learned was like a sympathetic smile. "They'll get used to you eventually." "Will they?" Ruby took a long drink. "It's been 2 weeks. I'm starting to think this was a mistake. Give it time. Change is hard for everyone." The cantina was filling up with the evening crowd. Ruby recognized a few faces from the cargo bay. Most gave her a polite nod and found tables far away from the bar. She was used to it. Then the door opened and 3 Sorcs walked in. Ruby recognized the one in front immediately. Talon. He was a merchant who shipped goods through the station regularly. She'd handled his cargo a few times. He'd never been friendly, but he'd never been openly hostile either. Until now, Talon's eyes locked onto Ruby, and his neck frills flared slightly. That wasn't a good sign. Sorcs were reptilian, and their body language was pretty easy to read once you knew what to look for. Flared frills meant anger or aggression, but he walked straight toward the bar, his two companions following close behind. You, Talon said, pointing a clawed finger at Ruby. We need to talk. Nina's feathers went flat against her body. Ruby set down her drink slowly. About what? Ruby kept her voice calm and level. About my cargo. 3 containers. Damaged during handling. You were on duty. Ruby frowned. I logged every container that came through today. Nothing was damaged during my shift. If something arrived damaged, it was already that way. Talon's frills spread wider. His skin was darkening, shifting from green to a deeper, angrier color. Are you calling me a liar? I'm saying you should check the intake logs. Everything's documented. Around them, the cantina was getting quieter. Other patrons were watching now, sensing trouble. Ruby could feel the tension building. This wasn't going to end well. Talon leaned closer. I know what you are. Human. Deathworlder. You think you can do whatever you want here because everyone's afraid of you. That's not true. You damaged my cargo. You cost me money, and you're going to pay for it. Nina pressed something under the bar. The emergency alert. Security would be on the way, but the station was big. It might take them a few minutes to arrive. Ruby stayed seated. Running would make things worse. Fighting would make things worse. She just needed to stay calm and wait for security. Then Talon reached into his vest and pulled out a blade. It glowed with a faint blue light. Plasma edge. Illegal on the station. Dangerous to every species, including humans. The cantina went completely silent. Now, Talon said, his voice low and threatening. Let's discuss compensation. Ruby's hand stayed flat on the bar. She didn't reach for the blade. She didn't flinch. She just looked at Talon with the same calm expression she'd worn since he walked in. That seemed to make him angrier. Did you hear me? Talon waved the plasma blade. The blue glow cast strange shadows across his scaled face. You're going to pay for what you did. Behind him, his 2 companions shifted their weight, ready to back him up if needed. Around the cantina, aliens were quietly moving away from the bar. Some slipped out the door entirely. Nobody wanted to be near this. Nina's voice was barely a whisper. Ruby, maybe you should just— I'm not paying for damage I didn't cause, Ruby said. Her voice was steady, matter of fact, like she was discussing the weather instead of staring down a weapon. Talon's frills went completely rigid. His skin turned almost black. You think I won't use this? You think because you're from some primitive death world that you're invincible? Ruby finally moved. She stood up slowly, deliberately, keeping her hands visible. She was shorter than Talon by a few inches, but something about the way she moved made several nearby aliens take another step back. I don't think I'm invincible, Ruby said, but I do think you don't understand what you're doing right now. I understand perfectly. I have a weapon. You don't. You're going to give me what I want. Ruby shook her head. See, that's the problem. You're thinking about this all wrong. Talon's eyes narrowed. What? You pulled a weapon on me because you think it gives you power. You think I'm supposed to be scared. And maybe I should be. That blade could hurt me badly. Ruby took a breath. But here's what you don't understand about humans. The cantina was so quiet now that Ruby's voice carried to every corner. Even the background music had stopped. Nina must have cut it. Humans come from a world where everything wants to kill us, Ruby continued. The weather, the animals, the plants, the geology. We evolved in an environment where threats were constant and danger was normal. Do you know what that does to a species? Talon didn't answer. He just gripped the blade tighter. It doesn't make us fearless, Ruby said. Fear is useful. Fear keeps you alive. What it does is teach us to think clearly when we're afraid, to assess threats, to respond appropriately. She gestured at the blade. And right now, my brain is doing exactly what millions of years of evolution designed it to do. It's calculating. Calculating what? Talon's voice was less certain now. Distances, angles, your body language, your breathing pattern, the way you're holding that weapon, the position of your friends, exit routes, potential weapons, medical supplies in the cantina. How long until security arrives? Ruby's voice remained calm, almost educational. My heart rate went up when you drew the blade. Adrenaline entered my bloodstream. My pain tolerance increased. My reaction time improved. My muscles are ready to move at maximum efficiency. One of Talon's companions took a small step backward. But here's the really important part, Ruby said. Despite all of that, I'm choosing not to hurt you. Talon laughed, but sounded forced. You're choosing? I have a weapon, and I have 300,000 years of evolutionary adaptation to being prey and predator at the same time. Do you know how humans hunted on Earth? We didn't run faster than our prey. We weren't stronger. We just didn't stop. We tracked animals for days until they collapsed from exhaustion. We call it persistence hunting. We're not the fastest or the strongest, but we're the most stubborn living things our planet ever produced. Ruby took a single step forward. Talon flinched. I'm not telling you this to scare you, Ruby said. I'm telling you this to teach you. Because that's what humans do. Even when we're threatened, we teach. You pulled a blade because you wanted to intimidate me. But what you actually did was give me information. You showed me how you think, how you move, what you consider a threat. Shut up. Talon's hand was shaking now. Just shut up and pay me. I'm not going to pay you, Ruby said simply, because I didn't damage your cargo. But I'm going to show everyone here something important. Talon lunged, thought he was fast. His species was built for quick strikes. The plasma blade came at Ruby in a wide arc that should have been impossible to dodge. Ruby moved faster. She stepped inside his reach, too close for the blade to hit her effectively. Her left hand came up and caught his wrist, not grabbing it, just redirecting it. The blade passed harmlessly beside her head. Talon's momentum carried him forward, off balance. Ruby shifted her weight slightly, and he stumbled past her. She released his wrist and stepped back to her original position. The whole thing took less than 2 seconds. Talon spun around, confused. He'd attacked, but somehow he'd missed, and he didn't understand why. That's called redirection, Ruby said to the watching crowd. Basic defensive technique. You use the attacker's momentum against them. Most human children learn it by age 10. Talon's 2 companions rushed forward. Ruby's eyes tracked them both without turning her head. When they reached her, she simply wasn't where they expected her to be. She'd moved slightly left, and the first companion rushed past. She placed her hand on the second one's shoulder as he passed and gave the gentlest push. He lost his balance and went down. Neither had been struck. Neither was injured, but both were on the floor, bewildered. Spatial awareness and timing, Ruby explained. Humans evolved to track multiple threats simultaneously. Our binocular vision is designed for it. Talon attacked again, more desperately this time. The blade came in faster from multiple angles. Ruby defended each strike with minimal movement. Block, redirect, sidestep. Each time she moved just enough to avoid being hit and no more. Each time she explained what she was doing. Weight distribution, leverage points, momentum management. Talon was breathing hard now. Ruby hadn't broken a sweat. Do you understand yet? Ruby asked. I'm not fighting you. I'm teaching you. There's a difference. The blade came at her face. Ruby caught Talon's wrist with both hands this time. She applied pressure to specific points, and his fingers opened involuntarily. The blade clattered onto the bar. Ruby picked it up carefully and set it down, deactivated. Pressure points, she said to the crowd. Humans mapped every vulnerable spot on our own bodies because we needed to understand them to survive. We developed entire systems of combat that focused on not killing each other. Do you know why? Nobody answered. Because humans are so dangerous to each other that we needed ways to resolve conflicts without death. We built entire philosophies around controlled violence, around teaching and learning and mutual respect. Station security burst through the cantina door, led by Commander Iris, a 4-armed insectoid with blue armor and 3 compound eyes. Everyone stay where you are, Iris commanded. Ruby raised her hands. Commander. Talon pulled a weapon. There are dozens of witnesses. I defended myself without harming anyone. Iris's eyes scanned the scene. Talon and his companions on the floor, exhausted but uninjured. Ruby standing calmly. The plasma blade on the bar. Is this true? Iris asked the crowd. Every alien in the cantina nodded or made their species equivalent gesture of agreement that Iris's mandibles clicked together in what might have been approval or surprise. She looked at Talon. Weapon possession. Assault. You're detained. Security led Talon and his companions away in restraints. The plasma blade went into an evidence container. Commander Iris stayed behind to take statements from witnesses, which didn't take long since everyone's story matched perfectly. Ruby had defended herself without throwing a single punch. When Iris finally left, the cantina remained quiet for a few more seconds. Then, someone started tapping their appendages against their table. Others joined in. Within moments, the entire room was making their species' version of applause. Some clapped, some whistled, some clicked or hummed or drummed. Ruby felt her face get hot. She wasn't used to this kind of attention. Okay, she said, waving her hands. It wasn't that impressive. Nina laughed, her feathers puffing up. Are you kidding? That was amazing. You turned a fight into a lecture. Ruby sat back down at the bar. Her hands were steady, but she could feel the adrenaline starting to fade. The shaking would come later, probably when she was alone in her quarters. That's how it always worked. Several aliens approached the bar cautiously. A small Quillen with gray fur spoke first. Excuse me, Miss Ruby? Is it true what you said about Earth? About everything they're trying to kill you? Ruby nodded. Pretty much. I mean, not everything, but enough things that you learn to be careful. And human children really learn to fight that young. We learn to defend ourselves, Ruby corrected. There's a difference. Most kids on Earth take some kind of martial arts class or self-defense training. It's just normal. A tall, thin alien with purple skin raised a tentacle. You said humans track prey for days? That seems impossible. It's called persistence hunting, Ruby explained. Humans can regulate our body temperature by sweating. Most animals can't do that. So we'd follow them in the hot sun until they overheated and collapsed. We're not fast, but we don't have to be. We just have to keep going. More questions came. How high is Earth's gravity? What's the atmospheric pressure? How do humans survive storms that destroy buildings? Do predators really live near human cities? Ruby answered each question as simply as she could. It felt strange, talking about Earth like it was some exotic, dangerous place. To her, it was just home, normal. But she was starting to realize that normal was relative. The crowd eventually dispersed back to their tables, still talking excitedly among themselves. Nina poured Ruby another drink and refused to let her pay for it. That was something else, Nina said. I've never seen anyone handle a threat like that. I just did what I was taught, Ruby said. De-escalate when possible. Defend when necessary. Don't use more force than needed. Most species would have panicked or attacked back. Ruby shrugged. Maybe, but humans have a lot of practice dealing with scary situations. It's kind of our thing. The cantina door opened again, and Ruby tensed for a moment before relaxing. It was just Dr. Allen, the other human on the station. He was in his 50s, with dark skin and kind eyes. He worked in a medical bay and had been on the station for almost a year. He walked straight to the bar and sat next to Ruby. I heard there was some excitement. News travels fast. Security channels. Iris mentioned a human was involved in an incident. I wanted to make sure you were okay. I'm Fina. Just tired. Dr. Allen studied her face. You handled it well. I saw the security footage. You already saw it. Iris sent it to me. Standard protocol when a human is involved in a physical altercation. She wanted a medical opinion on your actions. He smiled. I told her you showed remarkable restraint. Ruby traced her finger around the rim of her glass. Do you ever get tired of it? Being the strange one. Dr. Allen was quiet for a moment. Every single day. But it gets easier. And sometimes we get opportunities to bridge the gap. To help other species understand us better. By fighting them. By not fighting them, he corrected. By showing them we can be strong and gentle at the same time. That's something most species out here don't understand. They think strength means violence. Humans know better. Nina leaned against the bar. You humans are full of contradictions. You're from a death world, but you're gentle. You're capable of violence, but you choose peace. You're physically strong, but emotionally soft. Dr. Allen laughed. That about sums us up. We had to be contradictions to survive Earth. Tough enough to endure it, smart enough to adapt to it, and caring enough to help each other through it. He turned to Ruby. Speaking of helping each other, I have a story to share. About a human named Beth. She was on the station about 6 months before you arrived. Ruby leaned forward. What happened? There was a hull breach in Section 9. Explosive decompression. A Quillen family got trapped in the damaged area. Station protocol said to seal the section and evacuate everyone else. But Beth didn't follow protocol. She put on an emergency suit and went in after them. That's what anyone would do, Ruby said. No, it's not. The section was venting atmosphere. The temperature was dropping fast. Radiation levels were rising. Beth's suit was damaged during the rescue. She was exposed to hard vacuum for 47 seconds while carrying an injured child to safety. Ruby winced. That's a long time. She survived. Spent 2 weeks in medical, but she survived. The Quillen family all made it out because of her. After that, humans started getting a different kind of attention on this station. Not fear. Respect. Nina nodded. I remember Beth. Sweet person. Worked in engineering. She transferred to a different station after she recovered. The point is, Dr. Allen said, we're not just Deathworlders to these people anymore. We're becoming something else. Examples. Teachers. Friends. A young Quillen approached the bar nervously. She was barely taller than Ruby's waist, with silver fur and huge dark eyes. Excuse me? Miss Ruby. Ruby turned and smiled. Yes, my name is Pip. I'm a student at the station's educational facility. I was wondering if you would be willing to give a presentation. About Earth. About humans. About what you did today. Ruby blinked. A presentation at the Cultural Center. We have different species come and teach about their home worlds and cultures. After what I saw today, I think everyone would benefit from learning more about humans. Ruby looked at Dr. Allen, who was trying not to grin. What do you think? I think, he said carefully, that education is how fear becomes respect. And respect is how we build bridges. Ruby looked back at Pip. Okay, I'll do it. Pip's ears perked up. Really? Oh, thank you. This is wonderful. When can you do it? What do you need? How should we prepare? Ruby held up her hands. Slow down. Let me think about what to present first. Maybe in a few days. Perfect. I'll arrange everything. Pip bounced excitedly and scurried away. Nina laughed. Look at you. Station celebrity. Defender and teacher. Ruby groaned. What did I just agree to? To help, Dr. Allen said simply. That's what humans do. 3 days felt like 3 minutes. Ruby stood backstage at the station's cultural center, her stomach doing flips. Through the curtain, she could hear the auditorium filling up. Apparently, word had spread fast about the human who defended herself without throwing a punch. Now, everyone wanted to learn more. You'll be fine, Dr. Allen said. He was helping her set up the presentation files. Just be yourself. Tell them about home. I'm a freight handler, not a teacher, Ruby muttered. I lift boxes for a living. You taught an entire cantina about human defensive techniques while being attacked with a plasma blade. I think you can handle a prepared presentation. Pip poked her head through the curtain, her ears twitching with excitement. We're almost ready. Full house. Standing room only in the back. Ruby's stomach dropped. How many people? About 400? Maybe more. 400. Ruby sat down hard on a storage crate. Dr. Allen put a hand on her shoulder. Remember why you're doing this. These people are curious. They want to understand. You're giving them that chance. Ruby took a deep breath and nodded. She'd prepared a simple presentation with videos and data about Earth. Nothing fancy, just facts. Just truth. Pip's voice came through the speakers. Welcome everyone to today's cultural presentation. Please give your attention to Ruby Hayes, human from Earth. Ruby walked onto the stage. The lights were bright, making it hard to see the audience clearly, which was probably for the best. She stepped up to the podium and activated her display. Thank you for coming, she started. Her voice sounded steadier than she felt. I'm going to tell you about my home, about Earth, and about why humans are the way we are. The first image appeared on the screen behind her. Earth from space. Blue and white and beautiful. This is my world. Class, 9 Deathworld. Population, 8 billion humans. Here's what you need to understand right away. We didn't choose to be tough. We had to be. Our planet made us this way. She clicked to the next image. A hurricane viewed from above, a massive spiral of clouds. This is a hurricane. It's a storm system that develops over warm ocean water. Wind speeds can exceed 300 kilometers per hour. They destroy buildings. They flood entire cities, and they happen every single year. Humans who live in hurricane zones just accept this as normal. We prepare. We evacuate when needed. We rebuild afterward. The audience was completely silent, staring at the image. Ruby clicked again. A tornado, a dark funnel descending from storm clouds. Tornadoes. Wind speeds over 400 kilometers per hour. They can pick up vehicles and throw them. They appear with very little warning. Humans in tornado areas have basements and shelters. We teach children tornado drills in school, the same way you might teach them mathematics. Click. An erupting volcano, lava flowing down its sides. Volcanic eruptions. The mountain literally explodes. Lava flows. Ash clouds. Poisonous gases. And yet humans live near volcanoes because the soil is fertile. We weigh the risks against the benefits and make a choice. Click. Earthquake damage, buildings collapsed. Earthquakes. The ground itself moves. Structures fall. In earthquake zones, humans build flexible buildings that can sway with emotion. We plan for disaster because disaster is always coming eventually. She paused and looked out at the audience. Even with the bright lights, she could see them leaning forward, completely focused. But weather isn't the only danger on Earth, Ruby continued. She clicked to a new section. Images of animals appeared. A shark, a bear, a lion, a crocodile, a venomous snake. These are some of Earth's predators. The shark lives in our oceans. Humans swim in those oceans for recreation. This bear weighs over 500 kilograms and can run faster than a human. They live in forests where humans hike and camp. This lion hunts in packs and can take down prey much larger than itself. Humans live near their territories. This crocodile has the strongest bite force of any living animal. Humans swim in rivers where they live. This snake's venom can kill a human in minutes. They hide in places where humans walk. Someone in the audience made a sound like a gasp. Humans don't live in spite of these dangers, Ruby explained. We live with them. We learn about them. We respect them. We teach our children which animals are dangerous and how to avoid problems. But we don't let fear stop us from living. She clicked to show a video. Children swimming at a beach, laughing and playing. Human children, playing in the ocean, having fun. Yes, there are sharks in that water. Yes, there are jellyfish that sting. Yes, there are strong currents that could pull them away. But humans don't hide from their world. We engage with it carefully. Another video. A family hiking up a mountain trail. Humans climbing mountains for recreation. The air gets thinner the higher you go. The temperature drops. One wrong step could mean a fatal fall. But we do it anyway. We challenge ourselves. We test our limits. Ruby clicked to a new section. Data charts appeared. Let me give you some numbers. Earth's gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. That's roughly double what most core worlds experience. Every human infant develops in that gravity. Our bones grow dense to support it. Our muscles adapt to it. By the time we're adults, that gravity is just normal to us. More charts. Earth's atmosphere pressure is 101.3 kilopascals at sea level. Oxygen content is 21%. For most species, these levels would be uncomfortable or even dangerous. For humans, anything else feels wrong. She clicked again. An image of human muscular and skeletal systems. Human bone density is among the highest of any known sapient species. Our muscles attach to our skeleton in ways that maximize leverage and force. Our tendons are incredibly strong. This isn't because we're special. It's because Earth demanded it. Ruby paused and took a sip of water. The audience hadn't moved. 400 beings, absolutely silent. Now let me tell you about human evolution, how we became what we are. She clicked to show an image of an ancient human hunting. Humans are persistence hunters. We can't run as fast as most prey animals. We're not as strong, but we have something else. Endurance. She showed a graph comparing running stamina across species. The human line went far beyond the others. Humans can run for hours, days if needed. Our ability to sweat lets us cool down while running. Most animals have to stop and pant to cool off. Humans don't. We just keep going. Ancient humans would track an animal and follow it until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. Then we'd walk up and kill it. That's terrifying if you think about it. An enemy that never stops coming. Click. Images of various human sports. Modern humans still have this drive. We run marathons. That's over 42 kilometers. For fun, some humans run ultramarathons. 100 kilometers or more. Because we can. Because our bodies were built for it. Another image. Martial arts practitioners demonstrating techniques. Humans also develop hundreds of fighting systems. Not because we're violent, but because we're so good at violence that we needed ways to control it. Every human culture independently developed some form of martial art. Ways to fight without killing. Ways to defend without destroying. Ruby clicked to a video she'd recorded in the cargo bay. It showed her lifting containers that other species needed machines for. This is me doing my job. Normal work for a human. But I've seen the way others react. They think I'm showing off or trying to intimidate them. I'm not. This is just what my body can do after growing up in Earth's gravity. She turned to face the audience directly, stepping away from the podium. Here's what I want you to understand. Humans aren't trying to be scary. We're not trying to dominate anyone. We're just trying to live and work and be part of this galactic community. Yes, we're strong. Yes, we're tough. Yes, we come from a world that would kill most of you. But that same world taught us something important. Ruby's voice softened. It taught us compassion. Because when everything is trying to kill you, you learn to help each other survive. You learn that cooperation is stronger than competition. You learn that teaching someone is better than defeating them. She clicked to her final image. It showed humans of all ages and backgrounds, working together, helping each other. That's who we are. The auditorium erupted in a mixture of sounds. Different species showed appreciation in different ways. Some clapped. Others whistled or clicked or hummed. Pip rushed onto the stage, bouncing with excitement. That was incredible. Does anyone have questions? Hands, tentacles, and appendages shot up all over the room. Ruby's throat was already dry, but she smiled. Okay, let's start. You in the third row. Aquilin stood up. You said Earth has predators everywhere. How do humans keep children safe? Ruby nodded. We teach them. From a very young age, we explain which animals are dangerous and how to respond. We teach them to stay calm, to back away slowly, to make noise, or stay quiet, depending on the situation. Most human children know basic safety rules before they can read. Another hand went up, a tall, crystalline being with a musical voice. The gravity you described sounds painful. Do humans experience discomfort all the time? No, we don't feel it because we grew up in it. It's just normal. Actually, when humans visit low-gravity worlds, we have to be really careful. We're much stronger there than we intend to be. We can hurt ourselves or damage things without meaning to. A tentacled alien near the back called out. You showed us storms and earthquakes. Why do humans not simply live in safe areas? Ruby smiled. There are no completely safe areas on Earth. Even the calmest regions have some kind of danger. And often, the dangerous places have resources we need. Fertile soil near volcanoes. Fresh water near flood zones. Coastal areas for fishing despite hurricanes. Humans are really good at risk assessment. We calculate if the benefit is worth the danger. Pip spoke up. What about the persistence hunting you mentioned? Do modern humans still do that? Not for survival, no. We don't need it anymore. But the instinct is still there. That's why humans love endurance sports. Why we hike long distances for fun. Why we can work long shifts without breaking down. Our bodies still have that ancient programming. A large, furry alien stood. I have a personal question. 3 days ago, you were attacked. You defended yourself without harming anyone. How? Ruby took a breath. Practice. Training. Control. Most humans learn some form of self-defense or martial art when we're young. Not because we expect to fight, but because we need to understand our own strength. A human who doesn't know how to control their force can accidentally hurt someone. So we train. We practice. We learn to scale our response to the threat. But you moved so fast, the alien pressed. You predicted attacks before they came. Spatial awareness and pattern recognition. Humans evolved to track multiple threats at once. Predators coming from different directions. Enemies in groups. Our brains got really good at processing visual information quickly and predicting trajectories. When someone moves to attack, they telegraph their intentions through body language. Humans learned to read that. More questions came, rapid fire. Ruby answered them all as clearly as she could. Questions about Earth's oceans, its mountains, its deserts. Questions about human biology, psychology, culture. Questions about how humans dealt with pain, fear, loss. She was surprised by how easy it was to talk about home. The words just flowed. Finally, a small voice from the front row. Pip again. You said Earth taught humans compassion. Can you explain that? Ruby came around the podium and sat on the edge of the stage, making herself more level with the audience. Sure, when you live somewhere dangerous, you can't survive alone. You need others. You need cooperation. If I'm injured, I need someone to help me. If you're in danger, I need to help you. Because next time, our positions might be reversed. She continued. Humans developed complex social bonds because we had to. We formed families, tribes, communities, nations. We created systems of mutual support. We invented medicine to heal each other. We built shelters to protect each other. We shared knowledge to help each other survive. Ruby looked around the auditorium. The same world that made us tough also made us kind. We had to be both. Strong enough to endure. Soft enough to care. That's the real secret of human survival. Not our muscles, or our endurance, or our adaptability. It's our willingness to help each other. The room was quiet. Thoughtful. One more question. Pip asked out a voice from the back. Ruby couldn't see who was speaking. If your world is so dangerous, why did you leave it? Why come to space? Ruby smiled. Because it's dangerous. That's exactly why. Earth taught us to survive. It taught us to adapt. It taught us to solve problems and overcome challenges. And then we looked up at the stars and thought, what else is out there? What other challenges can we face? Who else can we help? She stood up. Humans don't see our harsh world as a curse. We see it as training. It prepared us for this. For space. For meeting other species. For being part of something bigger than ourselves. We left Earth not to escape it, but because it made us ready for everything that comes next. The applause this time was thunderous. Ruby felt her face get hot again. She wasn't used to this, but maybe that was okay. Maybe being uncomfortable was part of learning and growing too. Dr. Allen appeared beside her as the crowd started to disperse. Well done. You're a natural teacher. I just talked about home. Sometimes that's all teaching is. Sharing what you know with people who want to learn. Pip bounced up to them, accompanied by several other Quillen students and a variety of other young aliens. Miss Ruby, can we ask more questions? Can you tell us about human music? Human art? Human food? Ruby laughed. Maybe next time. I need to rest my voice. There will be a next time though, right? Pip's eyes were huge and hopeful. Ruby looked at Dr. Allen, who just smiled. She looked back at Pip. Yeah, I think there will be. The students cheered and scattered, already chattering excitedly about everything they'd learned as the auditorium emptied. Ruby sat down on the stage edge. That was exhausting. Teaching usually is, Dr. Allen said. But it's worth it. You saw their faces. They weren't afraid anymore. They were curious. Interested. That's how you change minds. Nina appeared from somewhere in the crowd. Ruby, that was wonderful. I learned things about humans I never knew. Thanks, Nina. Although now I'm slightly terrified of your planet. How do you sleep at night, knowing everything there wants to kill you? Ruby grinned. We have really good locks on our doors. Nina's feathers ruffled with laughter. Come on, let's go to the cantina. First drink is on me. As they walked through the station corridors back toward the cantina, Ruby noticed something different. Aliens still looked at her, but the expressions had changed. Less fear, more curiosity. A few even nodded in greeting. The cantina was busy with the evening crowd. Ruby, Nina, and Dr. Allen found their usual spots at the bar. They talked about the presentation, about the questions, about how strange it was that Ruby had become some kind of ambassador for humanity without meaning to. Then the door opened. Talon walked in. The cantina went quiet. Ruby tensed. Talon had been released from detention, but banned from carrying cargo for 6 months. His business was suffering. She'd heard through station gossip that he'd lost several contracts that he walked toward the bar. His companions weren't with him this time. He was alone. Ruby stayed in her seat, but watched him carefully. Dr. Allen shifted slightly, ready to intervene if needed. Talon stopped a few feet away. His frills were flat against his neck. Not aggressive. Submissive, almost. "Ruby Hayes," he said quietly. "Talon, I came to apologize." That surprised her. "Oh." I was angry. I blamed you for damage that wasn't your fault. I let my pride make me stupid. I pulled a weapon on you. I threatened you. I was wrong." Ruby studied his face. He seemed genuine. Apology accepted. Talon shifted his weight. "I'll watch your presentation. The recording that Pip posted on the station network. I learned something." "What's that?" "I learned that I judged you based on fear instead of knowledge. I saw a human and assumed danger. I didn't understand. I didn't try to understand. That was my mistake." Ruby nodded slowly. "A lot of people make that mistake. I have a question, if you will permit it." "Go ahead." Talon gestured at the cantina around them. "You said humans teach. You said you turn every conflict into an opportunity for understanding. I would like to learn properly. I would like you to teach me and my crew proper cargo handling techniques. We have damaged goods before, not intentionally, but through ignorance. If you would teach us, perhaps we could avoid future problems." Ruby blinked. She hadn't expected that. "You want me to teach you?" "Yes, if you're willing. I understand if you refuse." Ruby looked at Dr. Allen, who shrugged. "Your choice," his expression said. She turned back to Talon. "I'll teach you, but on one condition. Anything. You also learn basic conflict resolution, how to handle disputes without weapons or threats." "Deal." Talon's frills rippled. "Deal." They shook hands. His grip was firm, but not aggressive. Talon left. Nina let out a breath. "Well, that was unexpected." "Maybe not," Dr. Allen said thoughtfully. Ruby demonstrated two things when she defended herself. First, that humans can be dangerous. Second, that humans choose not to be. That second part is what really matters. Ruby sipped her drink. "I just want to do my job and not be seen as a monster." "You're not a monster," Nina said gently. "You're a teacher, whether you meant to be or not." Over the next few days, Ruby's life developed a new routine. She still worked her regular shifts in the cargo bay, but now she had students. Talon and his crew came every evening after their shifts ended. Ruby taught them proper lifting techniques, weight distribution, and how to check containers for damage before transport. Word spread. Soon others asked to join the lessons. A few curious aliens who wanted to understand humans better. Some freight handlers who wanted to improve their skills. Even Pip and some of her student friends showed up to watch and learn. The cargo bay transformed into an impromptu classroom after hours. Ruby found herself explaining not just cargo handling, but human philosophy. Why humans valued efficiency, but also safety. Why humans believed in double-checking everything. Why humans plan for worst-case scenarios. Humans assume something will go wrong eventually, Ruby explained one evening to a mixed group of students. So we prepare. We have backup plans. We practice emergency procedures. Not because we're pessimistic, but because we're realistic. Talon raised his hand. But doesn't that create fear? No, it creates confidence. When you know you're prepared for problems, you worry less. You work better. You stay calmer when something does go wrong. The lessons expanded. Ruby started teaching basic self-defense, not combat techniques, but awareness and prevention. How to recognize aggressive body language. How to de-escalate situations. How to defend without causing harm. The best fight is the one you avoid, Ruby said, echoing her old instructor's words. The second best fight is the one you end without anyone getting hurt. One evening, about 2 weeks after the presentation, Ruby was demonstrating a simple wrist lock technique when Commander Iris walked into the cargo bay. Everyone froze. "Continue," Iris said, her mandibles clicking. "I'm just observing." Ruby hesitantly completed the demonstration. Her student, a young Quillen named Fun, practiced the movement slowly. When the lesson ended, Iris approached Ruby. "Interesting teaching methods. Just trying to help, Commander. Even noticed. The station has been quieter lately. Fewer disputes. Less violence. People are talking to each other instead of fighting. Iris's three eyes focused on Ruby. You're having an impact. I'm just teaching cargo handling. You're teaching much more than that. You're showing other species that strength and gentleness can coexist. That's valuable. Iris turned to leave, then paused. By the way, your visa status has been upgraded. You're now classified as a cultural liaison as well as a freight handler. Same pay, but it makes your teaching activities official. The station administrator thought you should know. Then she was gone, leaving Ruby staring after her in surprise. Nina, who'd been watching from the doorway, walked over. Cultural liaison. Fancy title. I don't want a fancy title. I just want to work. You are working. You're building bridges. That's harder and more important than lifting boxes. Ruby looked around the cargo bay at her students, still practicing the techniques she'd taught them, talking and laughing together. Different species working together, learning together. Maybe Nina was right. Maybe this was the real work humans were meant to do out here among the stars. Not just surviving, but teaching others how to survive. Not just being strong, but showing that strength could be kind. Ruby Hayes, freight handler and teacher, smiled. That was the real lesson. The one Talon had learned the hard way. The one Ruby was spreading throughout orbital station Meridian, one student at a time. Humans don't survive their death world by being the strongest. They survive by making everyone around them stronger. And that lesson was worth learning. Read Triclaude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.